I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, episode number 8. This podcast is for attorneys who are running their own firms. We explore tactics, tools, and stories related to pushing past simply lawyering well and into building a successful firm. Working in your firm and working on your business are two very different things. This podcast focuses on the latter. Hello, friends. Welcome to today's episode. I have done a lot of prep for today's episode. It is a pretty cool concept that I have been reading and studying and applying for myself in work. And then also just really thinking about my clients and how they might be able to utilize this information. So I'm pumped to bring it to you today. When I do research and put things together, it's important to package it in a way that is easily understood and that you can take the concepts and either apply them immediately or reflect on them. And so today, what I've prepared is an outline to talk about the 4 kinds of luck. This was first written about way back, like I think in 1978 was the first version of the book by a man named James Austin, Dr. James Austin. He is a neurologist and a philosopher, and he wrote a book called Chase, Chance, and Creativity. And I said that really quickly. It's chase, chance, and creativity, not chase chance, not like you're going to chase chance. Anyway, he updated it in 2003. And so it's a really heady book. I have a lot of quick start in me if you're familiar with Colby. And so I also have equal amount of fact finder, which is fascinating. But the quick start part of me finds it very difficult to finish a book from start to all the way to the end. I tend to pull concepts and then do some research from there if I'm curious about it, or if it, there's always some nuggets I take away from a book, even though I don't finish like from A to Z. So this was one of those. But there's a lot of really great information that is out there and available in conversations around his concept that he wrote about, which is the 4 kinds of luck. He calls luck chance. So the 4 kinds of chance. And so today when I'm presenting this material to you, I might use chance and luck, both of those words, but I'm using them interchangeably. Let's start with Dr. Austin's definition of chance. Chance, something fortuitous that happens unpredictably without discernible human intention. So that's how he defines chance, which sounds a lot like luck, which is why I'm going to use those 2 words interchangeably. Okay, the first kind of luck is blind luck. So this is chance type 1. It's really the good luck that occurs that's completely accidental. Like it's pure blind luck that comes with no effort on our part. And you could think of this like winning the lottery. Right place, right time. You didn't do anything special to influence the luck factor. And you just thank your stars for that kind of luck and you run with it, right? Okay, and chance type 2, or the second kind of luck, there is something that you add and it's action. And when you take action, you increase your chances of luck or of chance. So there's a quote that I read from Mark Andreessen, which was great. A certain level of action stirs up the pot, brings in random ideas that will collide and stick together in fresh combinations, and it lets chance operate. There's also a quote from Charles Kettering that I saw in my research. Keep on going, and chances are you will stumble on something, perhaps when you are least expecting it. I have never heard of anyone stumbling on something sitting down. So that is sort of this idea. And we talk a lot on this podcast and in our retreats with clients and all of that. We talk a lot about your output. And you've definitely, if you've been listening to this podcast, heard me talk about if you need to reduce your inputs in order to increase the amount of output that you have. Well, this is what it's referring to, the action that you take, the output that you have into the world, that you spit out into the world. So this second type of luck comes from activity. It comes from persistence, hard work, hustle, motion. It's generating a lot of energy and doing a lot of things. And luck will eventually find you. It's sort of inevitable. You're putting all this stuff out into the world, and it is inevitable that there will be some luck that comes your way. Something will come fruitful of that. This is also super interesting to think about in the context of, episode 7, I explained this diagram of inevitable growth for law firms, and you can kind of find yourself on it. Well, there is a hustle portion of this growth diagram where it doesn't make sense to hire someone like Velocity Work for strategic planning, because it is your job to just put out, take a ton of action in order to get to the place where okay, I've got a business that works. It requires this level of activity that they're talking about that creates the second kind of luck. And I actually think I was interesting reflecting on that diagram that I shared with you guys. If I would have been deeper in my research at that point when I did that podcast, I probably would have mentioned that people call it luck to create and have a business that works. But truthfully, it's because the people who hustled, the people who took a lot of action, they are the ones that arrive at this place where it's okay, I've got a business that works. It may be chaotic and it may not be the business that you ultimately want for yourself, but you've got money coming in and you've got clients. That is not an easy feat. And if you're sitting down, I was just thinking about the Charles Kettering quote, but if you're sitting back in your chair and not taking a ton of action, you're not going to get there. It's just not how it works. So it is sort of like the hustle phase of the diagram, which creates this kind of quote unquote luck or chance that you will have a business that works, but it takes a ton of action. So anyway, that I thought was interesting because it was just coming off the heels of episode 7. And so then, really when you think about this, it's the most basic form of luck that you can actually contribute to or have influence on. So do something, try things, stop analyzing, stop thinking, pondering, just do it, and have sort of this bias to action. And thinking about the second type of luck, you're certainly better off taking many swings at the bat rather than sitting in the dugout, and even better off taking more swings at the bat than waiting for the perfect pitch to increase your chances of a hit, right? That's not the way to do it. Just take action, take action, take action. And you just by having that much output into the world for a specific purpose, thinking about your business, really to honor and serve whoever you're honoring and serving in your business, then inevitably things start to come together. Luck type 2 happens. Chance type 3, or the third type of luck, is what Dr. Austin calls recognizing good fortune. So this is where you're just good at spotting luck. There's a quote that goes well with this one by Louis Pasteur, and it says, "Chance favors the prepared mind." It's almost like an opportunity presents itself, but you're the only one to see it because of your unique perspective. That perspective is formed by this unique sum of your specific knowledge, experience, and skills. And others may have seen the same opportunity, but didn't totally recognize it because they couldn't comprehend the significance. So this third type of luck is almost like a flash of brilliance or insight that occurs. It's like an aha moment that you get because you were able to put things together in a unique way in order to recognize good fortune, to sort of realize that opportunity. So here's a story that demonstrates this third type of luck very well. Sir Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin, and this was due to an insight based on a combination of factors and his own unique experience. So here is the story, pulling it out for you now. He was at his workbench in the laboratory, made an observation, and his mental sequences then went something like this. A. I see that a mold has fallen by accident into my culture dish. 2. The staphylococcal colonies residing near it failed to grow. 3. Therefore, the mold must have secreted something that killed the bacteria. 4. This reminds me of a similar experience I had once before. 5. Maybe this new something from the mold could be used to kill staphylococci that cause human infections. And so actually, Fleming's mind was exceptionally well prepared. Some years earlier, while suffering from a cold, you can't make this stuff up, his own nasal drippings had found their way into a culture dish. And he noticed that the bacteria around his mucus were killed. And astutely followed up on that lead, his experiments then led him to discover lysozyme, which proved inappropriate for medical use. But think of how receptive Fleming's mind was to the penicillin mold when it later happened. So this chance type 3 is this luck, third type of luck, is what leads an entrepreneur to come up with business insights that gives this unfair advantage, is what you could call it. And these advantages can manifest in the product, in the business model, how the business operates internally. And if you have a prepared mind, when you see the right opportunity to create sort of this unfair advantage, so to speak, you will recognize that opportunity because of your unique perspective. So two people can see the exact same thing, but one can have an insight that the other doesn't have because that one has a prepared mind, so to speak, has this unique set of experience and background and skills and knowledge that allowed them to have the insight. And I really want you to think about how to use this inside your business. Maybe something client facing, but also maybe just something internal with how things are operating inside your organization. When you look at something, and where do you see opportunities that because of your unique background and skills and knowledge and the way that your mind has been prepared, what solutions can you come up with? This involves a bit of creativity, but the creativity is unique to you as an individual. And I really believe I want to keep coming back to reducing your inputs or being very selective with your inputs so that you can output more and more into the world and provide more value to the world and provide more value to your clients and provide more value inside your organization. But this is an example of why when we always look outside of ourselves to the answers for issues and things that we're facing or noticing, we never get to exercise this kind of luck, so to speak. You never are thinking deeply for yourself and reflecting on your experience and what you have to bring in terms of solution. You're always looking outside of yourself for what everybody else is doing to solve this quote unquote issue. So it's super important to this whole idea of reducing your inputs or being very selective with your inputs, because if you're constantly listening to the outside world, you are constantly implementing other people's ideas into your business, and you are missing an opportunity here, an opportunity to get better at this, to practice this. And so then you keep needing the outside world. You keep needing inputs in order to infuse quote unquote creativity into your business or solutions into your business. I'm not saying there's not a time and a place to sort of absorb what other people are doing and try it in your business, but people don't think enough for themselves. That's actually why I care so much about velocity work, is because I believe everyone's got the answers that are necessary and required in them to grow and foster the organization that they want to grow. And so many people look outside of themselves for these answers, and they want the quote unquote blueprint. They want this advice, so to speak. And it's not that you can't ever take that, but you have got to start relying more on you. You've got to start relying more on your experience and trust your knowledge and take risk by instituting the ideas that you have, that you see, that you've reflected well on, instead of just taking somebody else's and putting it into your business. So this third type of luck, it sort of indirectly speaks to this problem that I see so many entrepreneurs make by looking outside of themselves constantly to determine what to implement next. Okay, and the fourth type of luck, Dr. Austin calls it directed motion. Unlike luck type 2, which is due to just taking tons of action, almost random, right? But just taking tons of action. Chance type 4 or luck type 4 is directed action, directed motion. You have a hunch And so you pursue it and the luck sort of appears. Now, I will say about this type 4, what's so interesting and fascinating about this fourth type of luck is that it's the most fruitful. It is what sets you apart from the rest, right? Just enabling these kinds of opportunities for yourselves. And the conversation, it's almost like the lens widens with the conversation here. And so I'm going to share some really unique insights in just a bit beyond what Dr. Austin shares. The other thing I want to say, so I just told you sort of the link between the second type of luck and the fourth type of luck. So they both have motion involved. But sort of the similarities between luck type 3 and luck type 4 is that you encounter the luck due to something unique about you. So the difference is that the luck type 3 enables you to recognize good fortune that shows up in front of you. You have an insight because of something you see in front of you, where the luck type 4 enables you to encounter good fortune just because you have a hunch and you pursue it and luck appears. So it's not an aha. It's more of there's just a hunch that is unique that other people don't have that hunch. And it's because it's really unique to you and your experience and your background. And so it seems like a subtle difference, but it proves to be the favorable kind of luck among the discussions. And I can see why. It's a little harder to pin down too. So when you think about, when I say the lens widens, it's like the deeper kind of luck, the more advanced kind of luck, this luck type 4. There's no specific thing that you're supposed to do in order to get it. It's almost an awareness that you have and a way that you operate that allows you to take advantage of this fourth type of luck. When Mark Andreessen wrote about this, he said, chance type 4, or the fourth type of luck, comes to you unsought because of who you are and how you behave. Now, when I was researching for this, not just for this podcast, but really just trying to think about implementing and instituting some of this information into my own world. But nevertheless, a lot of the research that I was doing ended up being prepped for this podcast. I stumbled upon a great entrepreneurial mind, Naval Ravikant. His take on this and the way he expands on this is pretty awesome. He's saying that for luck to find you, you have to build a unique character, a unique brand, a unique mindset. That's when luck will find you. You build your character in a certain way, and then your character becomes and he uses the word destiny. I know not everybody's comfortable with that word, but I'm going to use it for this podcast. So it's important for, when you are thinking about making money and being wealthy and being a great entrepreneur, you want the kind of reputation that makes people do deals through you. You could take that a bunch of different ways, but think about, as an attorney living an entrepreneurial life, how can you think about this? He says, if you are a trusted, reliable, high integrity, long-term thinking deal maker, then when other people want to do deals, but they don't know how to do them in a trustworthy manner with strangers, they will literally approach you and give you a cut of the deal or offer you a unique deal just because of the integrity and reputation that you've built up. Reputation and a strong brand does come with a forum or a level of high accountability. And that I'm going to talk in depth about on a different episode. But your character and your reputation, these are things that you can build that will then let you take advantage of opportunities that other people may characterize as lucky, but it wasn't luck. Just because of who you are and because of your character and because of your reputation and because of your interests and this deeper level of a human that you are, you get asked to help, and in return, you get a chunk of money or something that you otherwise wouldn't have. This fourth type of luck, it's almost like luck finds you because of your skills and knowledge, but it's also because of your integrity and your reputation. That is where it is a game changer in terms of what you draw in, the opportunities that you draw in without even really having to seek them out. And I challenge you to think about things for you and for yourself. How can you create more of that kind of luck for yourself? When you think about your integrity and your reputation, don't just think about yourself as how you operate, but your business. How does your business operate? What is the reputation and the character of your firm? There is no flip to switch to start to create this fourth type of luck for yourself. It is a result of the work that you've put in and your specific interest. It's like this blend of your interests, the work you've put in, and your knowledge, plus how you operate, how you behave, what your reputation and your character is. This is the long game that you're playing. So in terms of your firm and separately, in terms of you as an individual, and it's good to actually think through some questions that will help you reflect on solutions and ideas on how you can be better at being lucky, so to speak. And I want you to take 2 separate sessions, one thinking for your firm and one thinking for you as an individual. Where is there a lack of integrity in your firm? What piece of your firm could or should be more polished? Where is there a lack of integrity in your firm? And really dig into why that's the case. All the answers that might hit your brain when you're asking yourself these questions, is it simply just a need for a better process or processes in that area? I encourage you to look deeper than that because maybe it's as simple as that, but oftentimes it is something underneath it that's really the root of the issue. Is it bad morale? Is it an unideal team member? Is it desperateness that exists in your organization for whatever reason, but just a desperateness? Everyone feels that, clients included. And then after you've asked these questions inside of your firm, I want you to ask these questions for yourself. Where is there a lack of integrity in how I operate? Where could my reputation be a little more polished? And I don't mean polished like perfect. That's not what I mean at all. Just more full of integrity. Where do you need to be more accountable for the results that you're getting and for the results that you get others? In terms of how to exercise more of this, generally speaking, the things I would encourage you to do, even just to get better at luck type 2, 3, and 4, is to bring energy to your work. There's a book called A Stroke of Insight that was written by Jill Bolte Taylor, who is a neurologist or neuroscientist. I'm not sure. Anyway, she had a stroke on the left side of her brain and writes about her experience through that. And she's recovered from it now. And so she writes about recovery. One of the things she mentioned is that when she's in the hospital, she couldn't see or analyze or remember any details, but the right side of her brain was working just fine. And so she could pick up a lot that we tend to shut out in our day-to-day with our left side because we rely on our left side to analyze information. But when you're just more in the sensory mode, she could pick up on the energy that people were walking into the room with. So that's how she knew who they were. She knew she could identify nurse to nurse because of the energy that they brought in. And so the quote that is in the book is, "Please be responsible for the energy that you bring into this space." That is a profound, if you really sit back and think about that, what kind of energy do you bring into the spaces that you take up? Think about with your team at work, with your family at home, what kind of energy do you bring into the space, and be responsible for it. And so if you want more of this type 2, 3, and 4 luck, you need to have some energy, and you need to be bringing the kind of energy that's going to get you the results you want to get. And so thinking about type 2 is all about taking action. That requires a ton of energy. And if you're coming to work or whatever space you're in, and you are mentally not in a good space, and you don't have a very good growth mindset, something is off. You're not going to be having the output that is required to get luck, so to speak, to create your own luck. So the first is just really be thoughtful about the energy that you're bringing to whatever it is that you're doing. And then the second thing I would say is be curious, stay curious. Seek out why. Like anytime that why hits your brain, like act on that. Do some research, figure it out, be willing to try new things, and really just look at every challenge as an opportunity to learn. Look at every challenge as an opportunity to use your unique insights and your unique skills and knowledge to come up with creative solutions that only you can come up with. It doesn't mean they're going to work every time, but you've got to start relying more and trusting that you've got what it takes to be able to create the results that you want to create. You don't always have to keep looking outside of yourself. And then third is getting better and practicing getting better at your critical thinking skills or your synthesizing skills in situations. And this comes in handy with luck type 3, where you are using and reflecting in a way on whatever is in front of you that gives you that aha moment. It gives you that insight of that idea or opportunity to take advantage of or to seek and to understand further. People don't think enough for themselves, and it's partially because they are so used to looking outside of themselves for the answers. And so I would just say that, like reading and listening to podcasts or listening to audiobooks, really actively listen to those things. Don't just passively listen. The way to practice this and the way to get better and better at creating this third type of luck is by reflecting on what you heard or read and writing in your journal about what you heard or read. And when you are listening or when you are reading, do it with an active mind, like interpret what you're hearing, question it, draw out, what this looks like if you were to apply this for you. And I'll tell you, this helps you reduce your inputs because you can't just consume a bunch of information and do this at the same time. It requires you to reduce your inputs and to filter what you're listening to so that you have time to be able to reflect on the things that you're learning and mull them over and play with those ideas so that you can implement them into your own world. Where most people nowadays, the majority of people, are just passively consuming a ton of information. And the stuff that seems shiny and that they want to implement is the blueprints, the stuff that allows you to implement and build your business without using your brain, without using your mind, without using critical thinking and being able to synthesize information. Like that doesn't have to happen when you're implementing a blueprint. That is worth exercising. I just want to encourage you to be responsible for the energy that you're bringing to the space or to whatever it is that you're doing. And then also stay curious, be curious, follow your nose, really follow your nose and start to trust the little hunches that you have inside. And then third is really strengthen your ability to be able to create this kind of luck for yourself at the higher levels by thinking for yourself, like learning something, taking it and really thinking about how the different ways it could be applied. And maybe you choose not to do none of them, right? Like maybe that's just not, it doesn't work out where you think it's worth implementing, but it's the practice and the skill, the meta skill of being able to mull things over and see and make connections with like what you learned here and what you've learned here, what you've read in this book and the experience that you've had with building the firm that you have. Don't underestimate that. The most successful people are the ones who think for themselves. The most successful people are the ones who connect the dots. They are not the ones who just institute what other people are telling them to do. 4 kinds of luck. I hope this was good for you to think about. I really want you to keep an open mind with how you can create more luck for yourself in your world. I think there's a lot to be done here. There's a lot of opportunity here. And it is more about reflecting and more about how you synthesize information and how you look at opportunities and challenges than anything else. So follow your nose, follow your gut. Keep learning the things that tend to light you up, not because you think you should learn them, but the things that actually truly light you up. Keep learning about those things and keep finding new and different ways to take principles from the things you're learning and apply them to the work that you're doing and to the challenges that you face in not just work, but life as well. Have a wonderful week, everyone. I will talk to you again very soon. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to the Velocity Work Podcast. If you've enjoyed this podcast and you run your own law firm, you have to come see if the Velocity Work client experience is for you. Head over to hello.velocitywork.com to set up a free call. We can learn more about one another, answer any questions we may have for one another, and determine if the Velocity Work client experience is a right fit. I hope to connect with you soon. Show notes from this episode can be found at velocitywork.com/podcast.